bringing more people into crypto. That is totally what we are all about. We talk about it really hard about what we're trying to do, right? Because one of the things that became very apparent to us in the last year is that we don't care about being another DeFi protocol. So trying to figure out who we are has actually been a very interesting journey.
Before understanding who we are, Jupiter, let's understand who you are.
I really think I'm a cat.
Very nice.
Everyone loves cats. I'm talking about everyone loves cats. People hate crypto and loves cats.
Meow, the founder of Jupiter,
a leading DeFi platform with over $2 trillion in volume,
and is now building JupeNet to make Web4 seamless.
I feel like in American culture, there's this idea that you need to be 24/7 on the go, on the run. And I'm like, I tried that for a long time. I realized that you can't do it. Just gonna be able to like master all the cycles and then be able to be effective through them.
We recently announced a multi-year partnership between Jupiter and When Shift Happens
Let's go!
to push Web4.
Let's go, Web4, let's go!
What is Web4 if you had to explain it to your mom?
I think Web4 will be like social money. Web3 so far has been mostly done on success, but they don't really use it, right? You know, Web1 people were just reading consumer content. Web2 was really went crazy. The entire world was getting involved. I feel like we are in a similar stage in crypto right now.
Why is Jupiter the best team to push this Web4 concept forward?
I think we are the only team that is like really fucking focused. I would say that we are the team that is like really native DeFi and really user focused and really driving to kind of build all the different pieces in there.
Why did you choose When Shift Happens as a media partner to push Web4? I'm ready for it.
How big is the ego? You ready?
My ego is very low. To be honest. Hi everyone. This is the little bit that I know none of you like that can help us make a huge difference for this show, and we want to take it next. 71% of the people who regularly watch When Shift Happens have not subscribed. And so all I'd ask you, if you want to make a huge difference, is the following. If you've seen this show before and you like it, help me, help my team, hit the subscribe button, and we'll continue to build this show for you. Thank you. You've been doing some serious stuff. Talking is not a serious thing. But sometimes it's important to come and talk.
It's time to talk. Let's go.
So people understand what's going on in the Jupiverse. Can you even read that?
What's that?
Can you read this?
It's more for if I write it out, I think.
You remember? Yeah, you think
I think because these are all things that I thought of before.
Yeah.
And I'm quite excited today because it's almost like and it's rolling. It's rolling.
Yeah, it's on.
Let's go. So I think that it's almost like this is my first thing in like a long time. I think almost a year, right? And in this 1 year, I think we have been thinking about so many ideas and done so many things that our thinking actually came a long way, right? You know, since a year ago, but even since Istanbul, right? But I think we haven't had a chance to really like take a step back, right, and digest everything and think about what we're doing, you know. And that's actually why I went off socials for 2 months. You know, it's to take time to really. Obviously we did a lot of things correctly, right? Many things correctly, but I also did a few things that are not too good. You know, so I think it's time to like think about regroup and let's go. You know, Jupiter V2, let's go. You know, yeah.
So let's go through that today.
Let's go.
The fastest brain in crypto.
And the fastest growing podcast in crypto.
Allez.
Let's go. We should talk about that as well, you know?
We will.
So Kevin, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about the new year? I mean, you have done so well in the last year also, you know?
I'm the same as you. I don't take time to take a step back and to think.
So let's do it now. Let's take a step and think. What do you want to do, you know? I mean, you've done so well. It's like, what do you want to do next, you know?
I need a few key guests still. And then I want to push the educational side, but outside of the crypto sphere or kind of circle jerk, right? Because
so you have actually been very vocal on that.
Yeah, I am.
Right, you know? Yeah.
I think the problem is the reason we're doing what we're doing here is because crypto is seen as a very intimidating and kind of lame industry. People call us the crypto bros. Crypto bros is very negative outside of crypto. Like, you're a crypto bro. And unfortunately for all these people, they're missing out on this absolutely amazing opportunity, both in terms of having a better life, but also wealth building opportunity, just because we're weird. And that's the problem. And what we're trying to do with When Shift Happens is to build the most credible media brand in crypto and make this, which comes from your mouth, most credible.
There you go.
And so, because if we don't help this industry look more credible, people will miss out. And I think now institutions are in, right? But the problem is people had so much time to front run institution, but I feel like the majority are completely missing out. Even those who were here earlier, they bought Bitcoin, ETH, they lost it on FTX or on Celsius, so they said fuck off, right? And then the other ones who could have front run institutions, they bought meme coins or whatever, lost their money, and like are still not better off. And that's the problem, right? Now institutions are coming in and buying the Bitcoin, the ETH, the Solana, etc., and people are missing out. And why? Because we haven't done a proper job at looking more serious, unfortunately.
It's so funny to say that because I always it's so funny because if you look at crypto inside looking out, right? You see all the good stuff, all the real tech, all the real people, all the real innovation, all the real use cases, right? Happening, right? But then I think it's actually really useful to just imagine, right? Outside looking in, right? It's like, and just go YouTube and search Bitcoin, right? Or just go YouTube and search trading, right? Or whatever. I mean, like seriously, I feel like it's like we try as a YouTuber, right? We take so much pride, right, in trying to build things that people use. Right? And the keyword is use. You see what I'm saying? We try so fucking hard to make the best, the most usable products, the most usable services, the best customer support. See what I'm saying? Right? And then it's also funny because like when you go online to see what people actually see, wow, it's like really like, but it's the opposite side of things, right? You know, it's like the worst. I hate to say this, but very often it's literally the worst people peddling the worst coins. Do you think, right? Yeah. So it's actually quite I think it's because the incentive mechanism, right? It's this. It's like the more your project doesn't have substance, right? The more it makes sense for you to just give as much as possible to people to show it. Right, you know, right, and but who are the people that will show projects that have nothing? Well, the not so great people. So we end up this like vicious cycle whereby we're constantly incentivizing kind of like maybe let's just say not very serious people. Same thing, you know, to actually to be the to kind of like front of industry, you know. Yeah, so I think that's actually a good point, you know.
Yeah, we have a bad
CT
image.
CT is brutal, bro. CT is so brutal sometimes, you know, crazy.
Yeah, and it's really, I mean, I call it the circle jerk. Like some people might say Kevin is a fucking dick, but I don't care. Like
circle jerk, dick, you know.
No, but it's a bunch of people who think like, yeah, first they're the best in the world, and second, like, I think, you know, when was it Satoshi who said, if you don't understand it, I don't have to explain it to you. Or was it Hal Finney? I don't remember, but like one of them said, if you don't understand it, I don't have time to explain it to you. And I feel like we're doing the same shit today. It's like, you're not retarded like us, so you don't understand all our slang and all that stuff. Like, you're stupid, right? And so how do you get more people into this amazing opportunity, which is supposed to change finance and the world? Well, not by acting like a bunch of jerks, in my humble opinion.
That's actually exactly kind of what I mean, obviously I have my I feel like CT is so interesting. CT is so reactive, right? CT is like this, like you know the word reflexivity, reflexive, right? CT is the most reflexive like ecosystem I've ever seen in my life, right? It's just it reacts so aggressively and so viciously and so affirmatively, right, to anything. And then the challenging thing is that the good thing about that is that it's a very very fast feedback loop, right? CT is brutal. CT is like CT is good because it's very in your face, right? It's very direct. It's a very direct CT is a very 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 direct and manifestation of what people are thinking, right? You know, at the same time it can also be very misleading. It can really drive you very wrong, right? You know, and I think that knowing how to kind of harness the reflexivity of it, right, towards good ends, you know, but without being like driven to situations whereby like you just make like very very short-term decisions. And I've been guilty of so many decisions that are driven not by what I think is like the right strategy, you know, long term, but more like because I felt a lot of pressure on CT, you know. So that's just something that I've really reflected a lot on, you know, the last year or so. Yeah. For
all the YouTube people out there, CT is crypto Twitter.
yeah,
very important because we really try to aim all these 2 billion people who are on YouTube, right?
But you said something interesting just now. You said about bringing more people into crypto, right? You know, that is totally what we are all about. We talk about it really hard actually. We talk about it really, really, really hard about what we're trying to do, right? Because one of the things that became very apparent to us in the last year is that, you know what, we don't care about being another DeFi protocol. You know, we don't see ourselves that way. You know, we don't think of ourselves as like, you know, like a Uniswap, 1inch, or like Hyperliquid, or even, right? We think of ourselves as something completely different, right? So figuring out because like crypto only understands these things, right? So trying to figure out who we are, right, has actually been a very interesting journey, I think, you know?
Quick one. I want to thank our partners who help us make this show possible. I'd like to thank our friends at Jupiter, the most used decentralized trading platform on Solana and the largest DAO in the world. Thank you to our friends at Paradex. It's official Perps Dex season, and we've teamed up with Paradex, the leading perpetuals decentralized exchange with zero fees, deep liquidity, and privacy. Their season 2 runs through the end of January, so you do not want to miss that one. In addition, their flagship NFT collection drops in Q4 this year, and we're giving you a chance to get one. Supply is limited, so hurry up and use the link below to get on the waiting list. And last but not least, thank you to the awesome team at CastCard, my go-to card to spend my stablecoins directly with my Apple Pay to buy anything: food, coffee, hotel night, or plane tickets without having to use a bank ever again. Before understanding who we are, Jupiter, let's understand who you are.
Me.
Who are you?
Meow. Me?
Who are you?
I really think I'm a cat. I'm not joking. You know what? Let's tell you why. No, I'm not joking. I'm serious. Like, sorry.
But how do you make people who don't understand crypto come into crypto if you present yourself as a cat?
I mean, everyone loves cats.
Very nice.
Everyone loves cats. I'm talking about everyone loves cats. People hate crypto and loves cats. Okay. Okay. Now, people always when people hear Meow, they always go like, "Oh, you're called Meow. You must love cats." I'm like, yeah, I like cats, but you know what? But the reason why I'm called Meow is that I really identify strongly with cats. You know, right? In the sense that, think about it, right? Cats are like flexible, they're agile, right? You know, they survive anything, and they can actually you can find them everywhere. It's like for every terrain, there's a cat, right? You go to the jungle, there's a cat, right? You go to the ice mountains, there's a cat. You go to the alleyway, there's a cat, right? You go to go to the desert, you know, sand cats. Things like really adorable small cats that just eat like small insects and really small things for and they survive like with or minimal food, right? You know, they're really fucking adorable, right? Obviously, you go to the palaces, you find cats. You know, you find Persian cats, right? So I think cats are amazing. I feel like it's like you almost want to figure out how you want to be the right cat for the right situation. You know, for example, most of the time I'm very serious. So this took me all to learn. Okay, it took me a long time to learn. All right, it's like, for example, when you're working in the team or you're in a peaceful environment, you don't want to just you want to just raw and blah. You want to be a chill cat, you know, be a nice domestic cat. You know what I'm saying, no? Right? Make I'm happy, comfortable, chill. You know what I'm saying, right? And then it's nice, right? You're a comforting cat, you know. And then but when time comes for it, you go to war, you become a tiger. You see, right? So I think it's amazing, like how So yeah, I think if I think of who I am, I really think that I don't know who I am per se, but I think what I want to be is that I think I really want to be able to just really rapidly and assertively be whatever the situation needs me to be. You know what I'm saying, no? Right. So I think that's actually what I probably hold in the highest regard, you know, like being able to let go of any like emotional baggage, identity, or like hang-ups or insecurities, and just be kind of be whatever the moment needs me to be, right? You know. So I think that's actually something that I think I prize a lot. You know. Yeah.
You mentioned ramen before.
What's that?
You mentioned ramen.
What ramen?
I think you mentioned, like you said, like if you're with a bunch of people in a ramen place, you need to be the chill cat.
Yeah. Working the team, and then like chill cat, right? I mean, just chill. You don't need to be you don't need to be like aggressive all the time. You don't need to be like, I feel like in American culture, in popular culture and in crypto culture, right? There's this idea that you need to be 24/7 on the go, on the run, like never stopping, always always winning, right? And saying, right? And I'm like, I tried that for a long time. I think that's actually how I did this for the first year of Jupiter. It's like always on it. I realized that you can't do it. Like you really need a certain cycle. You really need to kind of master a cycle of like peak lows. I'm saying, right? Just gonna be able to like master all the cycles, right? And then be able to be effective through them. I think that sometimes you win, sometimes you goon. It's fine, right? And there are lots of goodness in my team, and then it's fine, yeah.
I heard a ramen story the other day, a ramen shop story from the Meteora guys, which is one of the protocols that you co-founded also.
It's funny.
They said that Jupiter, which is a business that makes about $300 million in revenue per year, actually was the decision to make Jupiter was made in a ramen shop.
Yes, ramen shop. Yes.
Where you said, fuck it, let's do it.
Yes, accurate. Man, such a good story, bro. It's like, we had to overcome so many, like, which is why I'm saying, like, how I was just saying that just now that there are a lot of things that, like, you have to use popular opinion, right? CT is basically a very powerful, condensed, popular opinion, right? They just slams that opinion in your face again and again and again, right? And force you to submit, But I think if I look back at kind of like the best decisions I made, you know what I'm saying? I think it's all done despite, of the conventional opinion. I mean, starting Jupiter was obvious now, right? But then like it wasn't obvious, right? Back then. Certainly, there were a lot of reasons. Like for example, people didn't want us to start a new project. And it wasn't clear how we are gonna kind of take care of the stakeholders. And it wasn't also furthermore back then the conventional wisdom, right, was that okay, conventional wisdom, okay, you know what, like for example, Uniswap is much bigger than 1 inch, right? So why was someone aggregator? And then and also endless other reasons on why we shouldn't do it, right? But then I took a cold hard look at our what our team could do, competencies. I took a cold hard look at the fundamental economics of like the chain. I also took a cold hard look at like differences between the operating context, right? And then I was like, you know what? But so I really took my time with that. I think yes, the final decision was ramen store, right? But I've been taking like endless like long walks, with people to try to figure out, So it was like, but the conclusion was ramen store. And then, bro, it's so funny because literally, that night I finally decided to do it, and then I just shut off for a month. I'm not joking. Basically, I just stopped all my thinking for the previous 3 months, and then it accumulated in a final tipping point. I said, do it, Yeah, I go from there. Yeah, it's funny.
We talked about crypto Twitter before. And we talked about the problem of the image that we have outside of crypto. And you said, hey, if we look from the inside, there's all this product, it's cool, etc. But we also have to be very honest with ourselves and what crypto looks like to the outside, but also kind of is for a big part from the inside is this 24/7 gigantic casino accessible by anyone. From anywhere
for sure
on the planet. But that's not why you wake up every day, and that's not why I wake up every day. What's the actual longer term view of crypto and finance?
First of all, I think that have you read the book Animal Spirits?
No.
It's basically refers to like the deep desire for humans to be successful, to be rich, to make money, and to be well known and things like that, right? That's called animal spirits, right? And then and it refers to kind of like when a lot of people have greed or fear, right? Then the markets goes crazy and up and down and stuff, everything, right? And I feel like I think that a lot of the detractors of crypto, right, often talk about that as a bad thing. That okay, it's just one giant casino, right? And I feel like the weird thing about it, right, is that these giant casinos essentially gives us the opportunity, right, to build things that are like literally going to be the backbone of a new financial system. Right? That's how I think about it, right? And we actually so that's actually so the way to think about Jupiter, right, is that we operate at we it's funny because like the ability that there's always this I love this saying, right, by the way. There's this great saying that like a great mind, right, is one that can hold two truths at once. You know what I'm saying? I feel like over here it's actually very true for us, right? It's like, hey, can we actually acknowledge that, like crypto today is a giant casino, right? That doesn't have as much use outside of this like casino that we do right now, right? But also realize, right, that like really constantly striving to build a better casino, right? You know what I'm saying? To allow people to speculate and play games, right? You know what I'm saying? It's also very important. You know what I'm saying? All right, So I think and so that's kind of what we do, right? Is that me and Xiong are a bit different. We belong to a generation of like entrepreneurs that really believe in a user-centric development, right? Which then means that for us it's not about like whatever blah blah blah. It's not what the user wants, right? How do you make things like better, faster, cheaper, like just better for users, right? And you can see that for Jupiter, right? Everything that we do is driven by a very like user-centric approach, right? And then at some time, you also want to be like, hey, you know what? But if we just keep on building for casino, right? The industry doesn't go where we want. You see what I'm saying? Make sense? So and that's the reason why we really lock in, right? On go like, hey, what are the things that is confusing for a user? You know what I'm saying? To become using crypto. Again, not just trade crypto, but use crypto, right? Is it gas? Fine. We make it gasless. Is it gas? We make gasless. Is it seepage? We figure out how to do complete seepage estimation. Is it gas lending? Okay, cool. We develop a really complicated system to just lend transaction the right amount of gas. You know what I'm saying? Right? And depending on trade size, right? Everything. So like for example, we invented the industry's like first RTSE, which is a real-time seepage estimator. That means that it looking at your trade, we will just like decide on, we look at a whole bunch of attributes, right? Like around token volatility, how much is going through, each of token to kind of figure out what's the right seepage level to send, right? Another thing is that, for example, we also will do so much work, man, to just like make all the gas questions go away. You see what I'm saying? So, for example, a small trade size, less gas, big gas. You know what I'm saying? And then like and depending the current trading volume, and also we run it entirely. We also run like Solana's like third largest validator, right? In order to kind of make it easy to land transactions, right? So we do so much stuff, right, to try to make it easy, right? And then also another thing is also like another thing is that also on the mobile app. And we also innovated on things like, we also innovated a lot of things, for example, how do you send crypto to someone? It's actually really painful these days, right? So we made something called Jupiter Send, which makes it really fucking easy for someone to just like send crypto to someone with a wallet, right? And we also innovated on purely gasless, so you can do gasless sending, gasless swaps, gasless everything. So I think, we do, and then we're also setting up a lot of things for people to, and also be setting out like, a lot of ways to make like DeFi way more accessible, right? So I think all I'm saying is that, summarizing, I think that that's what we do, right? It's like, hey, we think that it's actually extremely important to focus on what the users want now, right? But also build towards the future that we want, right?
Which is simplifying everything in crypto.
Yeah,
until people don't understand it's crypto anymore.
Yeah, precisely. So, and that is a great segue, right, into the next point, right? Yeah. It's like, if you think about it, right, it's like, one of the biggest things that we believe in, right, is that we believe that DeFi is a new TradFi, right? DeFi is a new TradFi, right?
Decentralized finance is the new finance.
Yeah, precisely, right? So it's a new finance, right?
Yeah.
And what does it mean? It means that there will be no difference literally, right? When someone starts to use, they just use finance.
Yeah.
So they won't use like that. There will be like no DeFi TradFi thing that goes on, right? And if you think about it, right? So a very big thing that I think is like so it's like, so how when you grow up today, right? Even today, you grew up, right? Your first access point to finance is the bank. You see what I'm saying, right? I didn't go through the bank, right? But what's actually really amazing about DeFi, right, is that you don't need that. It's crazy. It's direct access, right? You can directly so the bank and SEX is almost like using you can do stuff too, but it's like AOL. You know what I'm saying? Have you tried using AOL? It's basically it's like using or like or trying to use Facebook apps. You know what I'm saying, right? It's just a very limited universe of things I can do, right? DeFi is like the World Wide Web. You know what I'm saying? So I think being able to like directly access, the entire web of finance, right? Directly, with no intermediary is fucking amazing, right? So that's what Jupiter is about, right? Jupiter is about, hey, you know what? How do we really make it easy, right? For any given user, right? Anywhere in the world, right? Anywhere in the world, whether you are from whether you are like American, whether you're European, whether you are African, in South Africa, Nigeria, or Alaska, who cares? No one cares, right? It's like you have equal access, to this universe of monies. Right? So that's actually what we think is actually really important, right? And yeah, Jupiter, and so we think that for that to happen, so I think our goal is pretty simple, right? We want Jupiter to be the default access point. For these people to access this universe of monies.
And you call that the Google of finance.
Yeah, it's kind of how it's kind of use Google right now, right? It's like Google is like you trust Google, Google, and Google is kind of how you access this entire world. Yeah. I'm saying, so I think that's actually how we think about it. How do we like really simplify, what I'm saying, right? The entire user experience, the onboarding process, everything, right, to the point. Right, whereby users can just access this entire world, of money, right, in a way that's as simple as possible, and there's so much to be done there. Yeah, and can I share something real quick? Mm-hmm. Also, I think we talked about this before, but this idea it's also related to the Web4 idea we talked about.
Mm. It's coming next. It's coming next. Yeah. But just you say there is so much stuff to do, right? How many years until the world uses the Google of finance every day to access this new finance world?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like it doesn't matter, right? It's like I think that it depends on how many things. It depends on how I think it's crazy, but I think a lot of it depends actually on how fast we make it easy. Right, for people to use it, right? And how fast we can build a brand that people trust to use, right? And how fast can we make it even more useful than traditional finance systems? You see what I'm saying, right? So three things. So number one, how to make it as easy to access this world as possible, right? Second thing is how much can we build a brand that is as trusted as Google or Apple, right? I'm saying, and thirdly is how do we make this world even more useful, right? I'm saying than whatever the bank can offer, So I think depending on these three attributes, right? So the speed of which we do these three things will determine how fast adoption happens. So for us, it's simple. We don't really ask any questions. We don't, right? We just go. So we don't engage in hypothetical questions, right? About how. No, we don't. We just go bang, just forget it. How do we make things as simple as possible? How do we build a brand like Apple? How do we make it as useful as possible? You know what I'm saying? So that drives our everyday, how we think about that stuff, nothing else. Yeah.
We recently announced a multi-year partnership between Jupiter and When Shift Happens.
Let's go!
To push Web4.
Let's go, Web4, let's go!
Web4, the Web4 narrative and concept. What is Web4 if you had to explain it to your mom?
I mean, it's probably not my mom level yet. Sorry, honestly, it probably take me 1 year to be a mom. But then I think
what is Web4 if you have to explain it to
you,
people who understand Web3 without being too technical?
I mean, I'll just say simply, right? So I'll just say what I think. All right, it's quite simple actually. I think that I feel like Web4 is going to be this Web4 like there's Web1 that was internet. Right, Web2 that was social media, right? Web3 that was internet money, right? I think Web4 will be like social money, whereby everyone in the world, right, you know how in social, you know how in Web1 people were just reading consumer content, but they weren't really doing stuff. They weren't really engaged in the creation and everything. Right, what I'm saying? Right, they're just using it in a very superficial way, right? In the Web1. Web2 was really when it went crazy. People really started when the entire world started getting involved, right, in the creation of content on the internet. That's when it went crazy. That's actually when the role of possibilities of engagement really skyrocketed, right? So I feel like we are in a similar stage in crypto right now. We have developed the ability to create internet money, right, via blockchains, right? And there's actually a lot of people engaging in the in this stuff, but no one's really. But the number of people actually involved in creating it, right, or manifesting it, or governing it, or or even using it is very, very low, extremely low, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's very, very similar to during when Web1, when at the pivotal point, right? There was a point where Web1 became Web2, right? That means that the base technologies are all good enough, right? You know what I'm saying? And there's actually a very clear economic reason, right? The economic reason, a lot of interest into becoming into being involved in the creation, right, and manifestation of this internet, right? I feel like we are very, very similar now. Okay, we are going to enter an era, right, whereby I really think we enter a new era whereby the masses, right, my mom hopefully, where we actually be involved in either in the active creation, governing, right, liquidity provision, or the using, right, of these new monies. Right? I really think so. Because right now, and you can also think of it this way, right? It's Web3 so far has been mostly done on sexes.
Centralized exchanges.
Yeah, which is okay. Again, but they don't really use it, right? So I'm saying when you don't really use it in any meaningful way, right? You don't use it for transactions. You don't use it for sentiment to people. You don't use it in daily life. You take zero part at all in the creation of it and governing of it. You know what I'm saying, right? You're just consuming in some sense, right? But I feel like I feel so I think that's actually what happened, And then when that happens, right, I feel like the other part of it is the other part of the whole Web4 thing in my mind, right, is the idea of a universe of monies. Just imagine, right? Because the most wonderful thing about crypto, right, and DeFi is that there's no barriers. There's no barriers. It's for example, on Nasdaq or a bank or Tesla, it's all gated. It's all gated pools of capital, right? Like Nasdaq, CME, or even the US dollar, all gated, right? But then on DeFi, it's this amazing universe. Just imagine, right? Just imagine, okay? You're just a universe of money, and they're all together. There's no barriers. Anyone can access anything. Value can flow seamlessly. Everything, right? So essentially, I think our goal at Jupiter, right, really is threefold, right? Number one, we think of it as the three universal principles, right? We want to allow universal accessibility, right? We want to allow anyone in the world to really easily access, these universal monies. You know what I'm saying? Right? Whether it's Bitcoin or US dollar or any shitcoin or anything in the world, right? It's all going to be, it's everything. Every single thing is going to be these universal monies, right? And second thing is that we call it universal creation, right? How do we allow anyone to be involved in the creation of these monies, right? And it's not just about creating money. It's not as simple as pressing a button, by the way. It's the whole process, how you get stakeholders, how you build trust, how you govern it, how you provide liquidity, how you get other monies to trust you, everything, right? And the last universal is the universal exchange, right? We want to enable a system by doesn't matter what money you have and what money someone else wants. Right, that exchange should be, doesn't matter what chain you're on, what format it's on, the exchange should be as seamless as possible and low friction and low cost possible. If people knew how much fees are in Forex, they go crazy. Oh my God, all these points are funded by really crazy ass Forex fees, right? And then they go crazy, right? But I think for our goal, right, I think we think that, so we think at Jupiter, we think that the next evolution of the web, or even human or finance, right? It's just a giant, it's Web4, right? And it's going to be this giant with money, right? And then our quest is simple, right? We really want to create a world where it becomes as easy, universally accessible, universal creation, and universal exchange. Yeah, so that's the thing about Jupiter. Yeah.
Quick one. I want to thank our partners who help us make this show possible. Thank you, Trezor. my favorite cold wallet to store my crypto and make sure I sleep well at night. If you want to order a Trezor wallet and sleep well at night too, you can use my promo code WSH10 to get a 10% discount. Big thank you to Bitwise Asset Management for backing today's conversation. Bitwise is a crypto specialist asset manager with more than $15 billion in client assets across 30 plus crypto solutions, including ETFs, index funds, alpha strategies, staking, and more. However you like to invest in crypto, Bitwise has something for you. Thank you to our friends at Sui for supporting this show. Sui is a scalable layer 1 blockchain that's fast, secure, and affordable, built by previous Facebook developers and that delivers the benefits of Web3 with the ease of Web2. Thank you to Story Protocol, the IP layer of the internet, for supporting today's conversation. Story is building an open system for creators to register, manage, and grow their IP on-chain. Whether you're building words, stories, or characters, Story Protocol gives you the tools to protect and expand your creative universe. To support this show, please check the sponsor links in the description down below. Why is Jupiter the best team? Push this Web4 concept forward.
Have you guys tried smartphones before the iPhone?
Smartphones
Before the iPhone?
like a BlackBerry,
BlackBerry
was a
or like
smartphone?
BlackBerry or like it was a Palm and there was a Nokia had
The
some
Palm,
as well.
True.
Yeah, web OS, and it was there, right? But it was really clunky, right? It was really not that great, right? And it really took the iPhone, right, to really put it all together, right? And then the reason why they could put it all together, right, is that they really had to kind of and I kind of call it I kind of think of it, right? I think DeFi is an iPhone moment, See what I'm saying? DeFi is an iPhone moment, right? To really start to penetrate the masses, right? And that is actually very interesting because if you look at how iPhone did it, right, it's basically a full combination of things, right? It's like they had to get the hardware down, the operating system down, the software down, the application down, the support down, the distribution down, the brand awareness down, right? The retail reach down, the customer support down. You know what I'm saying? I think people don't know this, right? But then you really need also the internet too, the backend servers too. They're very, very important. The backend services that run a lot of stuff, right? Very important, underrated, really underrated, right? Because people always see like software, hardware, and the OS and stuff, maybe, but they don't really see kind of like the giant web of shit that happens in the background, right? So it's like, and I know that type of stuff. So I think, so for us, I think we think of it very similar, right? We think of it as like, I'm not that arrogant to say we will be the one, but I think the way we think about it, right? And actually, if we actually understand that's our goal, right? To kind of create the iPhone moment, right? For DeFi, everything we do starts to make sense. Like everything we do starts to make sense, right? Like whether it is, and I can go more on that later on. But that really, I think we are probably, I would say, the only team that is like really fucking focused, right? And on solving this, and I mean across the whole stack, because you really need a very strong competency across the board, and we are going to be, I would say that we are probably the team that is like really native to DeFi and really user focused and really driving to kind of build all the different pieces in there. Yeah.
So that's what you call the iPhone strategy. Putting all this stuff together to make everything much simpler.
Yeah, precisely. So users. I think, precisely. So I think if you look at, again, if you see what we are doing, if you then things make sense, right? Then because we internally we have this thing called the triple S strategy, right? We call it full surface. The first is full surface, full suite, full stack. Right, in that management, right? Full surface means that we are the only team that is like really competent, right, across the web, across the mobile, and across APIs, right? The main delivery, the three main ways services and products get delivered, right? We're the only team. There's no other team that's strong on the web, strong on mobile, and strong APIs, right? We started our mobile thing about a year ago. And we have made enormous progress now, right? And everyone, the wide consensus right now among is like, Jupiter Mobile is probably the best mobile app, right? Yes. And then and also very strong APIs. I think our APIs and our stuff is like probably the most widely integrated among DeFi applications, right? Among everyone else. And then the second is the full suite, right? Then the full set of services, right? Around that. So we obviously have a really extremely comprehensive swap system, a really comprehensive ultra terminal, ultra lending, and ultra screener, right? Ultra terminal. And we also have a really I would say probably one of the best lending platforms. We also have and also definitely one of the best portfolio. And obviously we have a really strong perks as well. And then and obviously we're going to develop and then we are developing a lot more, and we're developing a lot more core competencies, right? And infra and services. For example, JupeNet is basically a really big effort, right, to solve the Omni chain problem. Which requires again, if you want to do a good UX on the Omni chain thing, it's ridiculously hard, right?
What is the Omni chain problem?
I'll cover that later, okay? But then just to finish the part earlier about the third S also is full stack. So again, I think we're the only team that is like really competent across the whole stack. Whether it's I think as we start to develop our own VM, but I think they kind of have a lot of expertise there, like our cross-chain expertise, and also like we also run, as I mentioned earlier, we also run one of the largest validators, and we also write a lot of our own validator software. And then obviously contract side we're very strong, and then also this data layer that drives a lot of things we're very strong as well. And UI, we are competent across like API design, UI design, and also like more design. And also the higher level stuff is like, for example, I think we are going to make a really big effort on like becoming really good on the softer things as well, right? The community building, the evangelizing stuff, and also like and also viral stuff, marketing stuff. So I think those are things that I think so I think I would say quite confidently that that summarizes our triple S approach, right? So I think triple is like, okay, how do we build like the full service coverage, full services, and full stack competence? Because we think that will be what is needed, right? To crack, to make the user experience that we want for the masses, right? And I'll sum it up by saying something that I think what Alan Key or Steve Jobs says, right? It's like, if you want to build good software, you got to build on hardware. So we kind of have that similar thinking, right? It's like, okay, if you wanna build like a really good experience, then we're gonna be willing to go as low level as need to, but also as high level as need to. Then in terms of delivering the brand, right? So that's that. If you understand this, right, as a foundational, right, thesis, right, for Jupiter, then everything you do does make sense. Yeah.
I just have to ask you talking about delivering the brand. Talking about Web4, what did you choose when Shift happened as a media partner to push Web4? I need some flowers here.
Let's go. Let's go.
I'm ready for it.
How big is the ego? You ready?
My ego is very low, to be honest. I learned because I got so fucked in business and in investing that I learned to be
be humble.
very humble.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, humility is everything, bro. Just first of all, that's why you're humble. Just no, I'm serious. That's why.
Chill with water, but
it's
I don't have anything else.
But yeah, I think first of all, I think like you're humble. I think for us, I think one of the key things that we look for when working with people is humility. I'm not even joking. It's like, it's so hard to have a conversation with someone who is arrogant. You just can't. Because they are so they're so confident in their version of the future that no one knows about. You see what I'm saying, right? I think, and then you have certainly been one of the most like open-minded, right? And the most like willing to just brainstorm and discuss ideas of how to present things, about how to, about what the future might look like. Yeah. Then, and obviously you have always been one of the most I also think that you've done a terrific job of like selecting your partners so far, right? Saying, and yeah, I think obviously work together for a year now on different things. Yeah, it's awesome. I feel like as we go on to the next phase of Jupiter, right? Like having a reliable partner to help us tell I would say a very specific story of Web4 is very important. So yeah. So I think And obviously, I think you have, obviously, as I told many times, I think you have done an amazing job in terms of like building up your brand and the network and your competencies over time. You know, right? So yeah, it's been a real pleasure seeing you grow. And I just thought it'd be fun to grow together, you know? Yeah, that's all.
Actually, I never thanked you personally. I think I wrote it a bunch of times, but you're the one who helped me think much bigger.
Really?
Well, yeah, because I'm very humble. I'm maybe like never this guy with this big vision, but you're always like, think much bigger, think much bigger, think much bigger. Even the first partnership we did together, I sent it to you. You're like, think much bigger, think much bigger. And I'm like, shit, maybe I should think much bigger.
Yeah, think bigger.
And then you see like the year passing by, you're like, holy shit, actually like I'm able to do some good shit too.
So
right?
here's very important, right? So let's switch from talking about Jupiter for all, right? Just talk about life in general, right? I feel like what's actually very important is that people just stack wins, right? Stack small wins, right? Towards some endpoint, you know? Because people, it's actually very hard. It's actually very hard because what I see the most often is that people, you have two classes of people, right? The first class of people are people who they have a lot of small wins, right? But the wins are like this, you know, horizontal, right? I'm saying, right? Means that that means their wins are like, you know, that means that they can't do the same thing again and again for a long time, right? So they're consistent, but it doesn't take a long time, right? The other side of people are people who go for the big ones, big wins. They just want, I want this to 10x, 100x, blah blah blah, or something, right? And then they are like, sometimes they make it, but most of them they don't, right? You know, and because they always go for the big swing, you just need, you know, like it's actually quite easy to die. You think to lose, right? Right? And then to be out of the game, right? You know, I mean that's literally called average, right? I think we've seen that many times before in crypto. So I think the way I think the strategy that I think is under, but most people go like either so like we are kind of taught to do these two things, right? It's like since you were young. It kind of doesn't matter what society belong to, right? It's like, you know, it's like we're either taught to be consistent or taught to go for a big win. I'm saying, right? I think there's a third approach that's underrated, right? It's called stacking wins.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, right? And it's not the same as like just doing something again, right? It's also not the same as going for a big win. It's not. It's like you're consistently stacking the win, right? And then at some point you need to trust that if you keep stacking the win, at some point you get to a certain like, you know, network effects. What I'm saying, your own personal effect, such that you can do things that you can't ever do before. You know what I'm saying, right? And I think brand building, I think how did you achieve was actually amazing, right? Is that like you know, it's like you didn't just do the same old thing again and again, right? You know, but instead you started becoming you started being more consistent, more regular, and bigger guests and bigger brand. You know what I'm saying, you know, right? And then you just kept going. What I'm saying, you know, and at some point, wow, you have some brand. You know, people like, you know, like your great partners who trust you. You're saying you have and then you can access way more people that you could otherwise, right? You know, so I think it's a lot of it. So basically, when we had a conversation about 2 years ago, around there, kind of
a year and a half.
Yeah. I think I was like, bro, it's like I think because I think you were, for me anyway, I saw that okay, you were judging your future based on where you were, right? I'm like, no, it's like don't think that we think this way, right? Think of, because the more you do, the more you stack, right? At some point you go, wow, holy shit, I can do things I can't do before. Holy fuck. What I'm saying? So I feel like that's actually I think a very useful mindset, you know? So it's not about like just thinking much bigger, right? It's more like you're gonna pair that big thinking along with a very consistent strategic way of piling up the wins, you know, to get to the point whereby you can actually execute on what you're thinking, you know. And same for Jupiter, right? I think Jupiter now, so now I think I have this like so we are in this process now, right, whereby we are actually aiming to stack up the different competencies and different mindsets and different like skill sets, different team, different talent to be able to execute, you know what I'm saying, on what we want to be in, I would say, Jupiter V2. Yeah.
This is what you call synergies of scale.
Accurate. Hey, it's awesome. Let's go.
You made it too easy for me.
No, I mean, it's funny, right? Because
what are synergies of scale for people?
Okay, so I mean, everyone who did economics know that there's an idea called economics of scale, right? It's like probably one of the most like common like economic concept, right? And I've always learned that since I learned that since but basically I think just to get back to the point, I think that I think all these conventional economics, they're not wrong per se, but then I think I think I like to do the thing about I just rethink them. So I like to do the thing about I look back at what I studied, I guess, like way back, and then I rethink them, right? So I think one of the things actually always find interesting is economic skill, right? I think what I observe in crypto is that there's like a synergy of skill. Like, how do you, for example, if you're building a factory, right? You need to be very, very careful about how you, what things you choose to build, right? How you source your resources, how you unify operations, how you, how your teams work to harvest the economies of scale. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise, you can have 10 car factories, but then if they don't share any, if they don't share any knowledge, don't share anything and stuff, then you're worse than having 10 separate car factories. Isn't that economic skill, right? Now, I think, and the idea is that, you can source materials from suppliers, you can source material deals, everything is economic skill. So I think that the way I think about it in crypto is a bit different. I think because our capital requirements are so low. You see what I'm saying? You can scale up like a really big business running very little hardware, right? See what I'm saying? Right? And it can be extremely cost efficient, right? Across many things, right? So I think it's less about economic skill anymore, but I think of it as synergy skill, right? It's just how do you put together people, right? Like how do you put together teams, each of them with a certain like mindset, certain ideas, and certain competency and certain ambition, right? And they execute on their stuff, but it ends up helping everybody else. Right? I think for us, that's how we think about team building at Jupiter, right? What business lines can we start? Or what teams do we set up, and how do they work with each other? In a way that where the sum is bigger than the whole. I think portfolio is a good example, right? I think the Jupiter portfolio is like the best portfolio product in DeFi, full stop, or probably in the world actually. And I think as a standalone product, it's like not interesting, or maybe it doesn't have as much economic value, right? But then when you put it in a system like Jupiter, right? That has a lot of other ways of creating value, right? Sense? Then it becomes really great. So then it becomes like this way. It becomes a way for us to like drive a lot of like usage and distribution, to a very important user base. Yeah.
How do you know what to buy, what to build, or who to partner with to build synergies of scale? Because you say, this portfolio outside, it's cool, but nothing special, not that amazing. I put it here inside, changes the whole game.
I think that the answer is like, and again, I think over here, okay, it's gonna sound weird, right? But I think it's about, I think the core decision making metric I use is energy. Like, energy. You can feel the energy. I'm saying, I'm not even joking. It sounds voodoo and shit, but I it sounds voodoo and shit, but I really think it comes down to energy. Like what? Like think of the energy, like how the energy flows. Like what energy do we need? Like, do we have the right energy to take do everything forward? And I feel like, yes, you can look at a lot like market size, you can look at so many things like market size, competence, and blah 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 blah. But then I always found that like for example, even if it's a very hard project, right? But if you have the right energy, aka the right people who, for example, right set of people who wants to do it, and the right demand from users, and the right flow with our competence, it gets done. I don't care how difficult it gets done, right? Conversely, you can have like maybe the perfect team to do something technically, right? But maybe that's not good fit the team, or maybe the team's not feeling it, or maybe the users are, then it doesn't get done. So I think for us, it's like what it again sounds crazy, but like my and I'm not sure it's bullish or bearish for Jube. But I think a lot of decisions we do is energy based. Yeah, it's just like intuition, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and that's why I like hats. Because I think there's an instinct that's actually very powerful, But again, the tricky thing is actually it might be wrong. So I think it's actually very important to very often take a step back, right? And reflect, on like, okay, cool, right? Like, what are things that we did that maybe wasn't that great? I'm saying, right? And what do we really need to change? Right? I'm saying. So I think for Jupiter, I think we are probably one of the most like least understood companies, projects in the space, because we do so many things that people really like and admire, right? But we also occasionally do things that people really like. Yeah. So I think it's the counterpoint to the counterpoint to the whole energy theory of decision making is it's a need to very often take a step back and reflect and think about like where and how that approach might not be that great. You know what I'm saying? Or more like where you might not be good and you need to update your mental model, Yeah.
Before we talk about community, what's the Omni chain problem?
Oh, I love this problem.
How does
I love this problem.
JupNet fit into that and solve that?
Oh, I love this. So by the way, so a lot of people don't know this, but let me just do a quick rundown, right? It's like I started WBTC.
WBTC.
Yes, it's the largest BTC. It's kind of like I think 10 billion or something like that.
So basically, it was for people to use Bitcoin in decentralized finance on Ethereum.
Correct. Yes,
BTC. You
correct.
started that.
Yes.
$10 billion in market cap.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And to be clear, I started that, and then a lot of other people did the work, to grow it, right? But I started that together with some friends like Loy and Ben from Bigo. And then I think it was and so I've always been, and obviously, and even before that, I've been fascinated, right, by projects like Polkadot or Cosmos, right? Like projects that say they're trying to solve the chain problem, right? And then and also obviously, and then also as part of Jupiter, right, we also work extremely closely with like many, like probably all the different variants of bridging protocols, right? Whether like you name it, work with them. I'm saying everyone, right? So I think so basically I've always been extremely also and also from a philosophical interest point of view, right? It started when I was first observing the Bitcoin maxis, right? Argue that Bitcoin is the only thing that matters. Everything else doesn't matter. I'm saying right now. In parallel, I was the senior advisor to Portfolio, right? Who was actually the number one altcoin portfolio.
Yeah, that got bought by FTX and
yes, they called out the FTX bought it, right? No, FTX bought it, right? No?
Yeah, exactly.
And then but basically that was so that user base was the opposite of Maxis, right? It was like very much about altcoins, right? And so basically I think I was like, holy shit, it's actually very interesting. It's like the Bitcoin Maxis might insist that there's only one coin that matters, but the reality of it is that the world really wants more chains and more coins. You see what I'm saying? Right? They want more stuff. They want more chains, right? And it's this crazy amount of animal spirits, right, involved whenever a new chain started, right? And so there's this crazy excitement, crazy interest, like crazy, like everything. And then at some point, I realized like, holy shit, this chain acceleration is gonna go through like immense numbers of like boom and bust, right? What does it mean? It means that you're always gonna go through cycles whereby a ton of chains happen, most of them die. Ton of chains happens, wasn't die, right? And I see that, and I just kept seeing that again and again, right? Whereas a lot of Bitcoins came out, right? The Ethereum came out, and Solana came out. So I feel like that I just holy shit. So I think that was a certain moment of clarity for me, right? Well, okay, we are headed to world million chains, right? It doesn't matter. It kind of doesn't matter, right? What people say, what the maxi says, right? The maxi
chain means multi-chain world.
Yeah, like basically it means that it doesn't. The key thing here is actually the maxis are always gonna say, right? Oh, you just need one chain, right? But the reality is that you're gonna chains, right? So I think anyway, both from a. So anyway, what I'm saying is I think this problem has actually been very top mind for me, right? very since like way back, right? From a philosophy point of view, from my own experience in building WebBTC, right? And also just my experience in like kind of interacting and integrating, not just interacting, actually integrating, right? And using, right? Like infinitely lot of systems, right? You name it, you name it, I used it, right? Or interacted with it somehow, right? So I think So in summary, I think that also one of the projects I was advising, Fruit,
yeah.
Yeah, Fruit, amazing.
That you
amazing.
used to build Dripland.
Yeah, we partnered with Dripland, but they also tried to solve this problem with a different system called Avocado, right? As well, right? So I was like quite involved there as well. I think so I think in general, I think that so basically I think that okay, and then you start to realize like holy shit, it's like you really have a lot of, it's such a hard problem because like you have a lot of liquidity problems, UX problems, security issues, like how do you accounting issues, right? And so it's so very interesting because like for example, if you even a very very popular token like say SPX, right? You bridge it to Solana, the volume is like 1%. I'm not joking, it's insanely low, right? You would think that there's a lot of people in Solana who want to buy SPX or hype. Nah, not really. So and you start to realize, oh wow, it's actually a very strong, like, it's not just technical, not US, not liquidity, not just financial. It's also a very strong like tribalism element to it. You know what I'm saying, right? Holy shit. And so in summary, JupeNet is our attempt, to build a holistic network, right? And saying, to really make it easy for users and projects and anyone to easily navigate a world where there are million chains. You know what I'm saying, and this also means rethinking not just how omnichain works, but also how like how the UX works, right? For example, like like today blockchain UX is still pretty much the same as Bitcoin, it's private key, public key based. That means you always need a wallet to sign the stuff, right? We started thinking, hey, you know what? Like, if we really want to build a world whereby billion people can actually interact easily with a million chains, right? Same thing. How would that look like? So we developed this new mechanism called ADI, right? So I really worked my ass off, right, to get some of the smartest guys I know, right, to come together to work on this problem. How do we rethink blockchain UX, right, for like over a year? And now it's cool. Now it's like you can do things like passkey on chain. You can log in on chain passkeys and sign transactions and lots of stuff doing. And then and also we're also rethinking a lot of the how sequencing works and everything. Yeah. But yeah, so I think so that's JupeNet. I think so we are also a Jupe VM. So Jupe VM basically we are just heavily modifying current VMs to be able to do the things we want to do. The omnichain stuff, the identity stuff, and also the sequencing stuff. Yeah. So that's JupeNet. Yeah.
Let's tackle a very hard one.
It's hard, but it's fun too. It's like we're just having so much fun right now. We're just thinking, hey, what infra, like what foundational infra will be the what foundational infra will be kind of like the best system possible to solve this omnichain problem. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think and that's JupeNet. Yeah.
So there's the infra on one side, there is the apps on the other side, and there's the community on the other side. Let's start with the token community.
Let's go.
The token has not performed really well since the TG.
No.
People not happy about that. Token holders. What's your plan to revive the token? How do you prove the token?
I feel like it's also so interesting, right? You know how I was talking just now about how we do all things well, but we do these things well, right? I would say that I think and part of the reason why I took a long time off social is that I really felt the very intense need, right, to just like rethink, how I'm going about, how I went about, like building up the token narrative, and also how I explain everything. I think that what I'm going to say next is going to be not what CT promotes here, but I think we need to fundamentally make the token, right, a lot more synergistic with the token story, a lot more synergistic with the with how we go about community building and how we go about building a platform, right? So basically that's actually, I think that probably the biggest gap right now. People don't quite like even though we have the 50% leader box, right? We actually, so theoretically speaking, we do the 50% leader box, right?
Which means that you're buying back the token.
50% of the revenue goes to the token.
So that would mean that if Jupiter makes $300 million a year, they would buy back $150 million.
Thereabouts, right? And actually, that's actually a very heavy investment, right?
It is. Absolutely.
And it's not earnings, but it's revs, right? And then, but I think that sometimes there really isn't that, but in the perception of, but yet in the perception, right, of the general investor community, right, they don't see the link. You see what I'm saying? Right? And also the other thing is also because we are actually investing a lot in the future, right? We're actually not maximizing for revenue. We're not. We are really investing a lot in the future infra, future positioning, future growth, right? Everything. So I think we are definitely not like revenue maximizing by any chance, right? So I feel like so I feel like that's something that actually puzzled me a lot, right? In the sense that like, okay, we are already I actually went about asking quite a lot of people. They don't even know. They don't even know that we do that. See what I'm saying? Right? So I feel like I feel like we've done a really like not. I feel like there's three things. Number one, I feel like the way the token was presented and to the community when it first launched was like governance token, right? So I think that kind of anchored a lot of the narrative, around the token, right? And it's still, and that narrative is still there today, right? The second thing that anchored token a lot was like people was a voting mechanism where people would vote for vote groups and also DAO updates, and a lot of times those votes involved giving to people, right, to teams, right? And I think that was something that didn't cause a lot of discomfort as well. Yeah, I think there are things that actually and the big things that I think it wasn't very clear how and this, by the way, remember, this is despite of the 50% in the box, by the way. Saying people were not clear how the evolution of Jupiter, right? So I'm saying both the present, the midterm and the future, right, could help Jupe. Right? Then again, this is despite the 50% thing. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, this really got me thinking that, wow, holy shit. It's like, I think the token story now is just way too complicated. There's too much stuff going on. There's governance, there's DAOs, there's these things, Jupiter things. So I feel like right now, I think that what's actually really important is to come back to first principles. And like firstly, we need to do a much better job, which is I'm here, by the way, of like just sharing about Jupiter. Right? So I'm saying, right? The where Jupiter is going, right? And second thing is like why we do things we do. I'm saying, right? And thirdly, it's like really doing a much better job in terms of like it's funny because Jupiter do a lot of things that no one knows about. See what I'm saying, right? And we can't do like make it front and center. But I guess it's also my fault, right? I think if I may be very brutally honest here, I confuse some things. Yeah, I confuse bro, it's a long conversation, bro. Wow, let me just share it a bit here. I'll just do a few things. I confused them. I was always good at like communication. I mean, I talk fast, but then generally if I focus, I'm pretty good at like telling a story. I'm pretty good at like narrating, right? But I confuse being able to tell stories with being able to communicate a narrative coherently, right? I think and a big reason is that I think I would talk about like 20 things, and not particularly pay a lot of attention to like what's the main thing, that needs to be delivered, right? So I think that actually resulted a lot of situations as well. I think like people just didn't understand Jupiter or the Jupiter token, right? And second thing is I think and the second big thing is that I think I really and second big mistake I made is that I think I really focused a lot of the community energy on I think things that created a breakdown, right, between the people who are the most involved in the community and the token holders, aka the DAO group votes, right? So I think that process sounded amazing on paper, right? I'm saying you have the DAO votes for a cell team that now gets the legitimacy to help Jupiter and represent Jupiter, right? Right? So then the concept was great on paper, right? But in reality, right, it's like there wasn't sufficient trust built up between the work groups, which are great people, they're amazing people, by the way, and the token holders, right? Leading to a lot of mistrust, right? And then and then a lot of token holders felt like, even though the numbers were actually quite small in comparison to everything, but they felt that it was like damaging Jupe, right? I think the constant and that repeated many times, right? I think I feel like I should have been way more sensitive to that problem. I'm saying, right? And it really created a ton of issues. I think I was too late to see, because I think I must admit that I was like probably being too. I think I was probably being too like caught up in terms of like in terms of the theoretical correctness, of the system, but not neglecting how like in practice it created a lot of friction, between the two the sets of people, right, that were the most critical, the people who were doing work for Jupiter and represent Jupiter, and the token holders. I think that friction was not noticed by me until probably too late. And the third thing that I would say I did not do well is that I think I didn't properly synergize, the goals of Jupiter, what we're doing, and then and making and reassuring people that that the token was a big part of it, and that we did the work, of the 50% data boxing, but we didn't really do the other part that was very the part that was very important, which is to constantly communicate. Right? I'm saying, why this token is a really big part of our plans. You think, right? And we are really like working on it, right? And it's funny because like if you look at other projects that are like that do way less than us, what I'm saying, have way less real tech, real users, and real infra than us, but they do better. It's because I think they do the opposite, right? So I was talking to some friends that it's funny. They're like, bro, you guys are probably the most you guys have the most interesting dynamic. Most teams do this much, right? Most teams do this much. They talk about their token this much. Then you guys do the exact opposite. You guys do this much. So I feel like it's actually so I feel like I think that's my third mistake, right? I didn't quite understand I didn't quite understand how important it is to I thought that like if we do the little box thing, it should be good, it should be obvious, right? But it's not. It's not obvious. It's not obvious at all. In fact, I think that what I realized that like, wow, we made this a really big like thing that we did, right? It's or giving 50% to the token thing, right? It actually doesn't matter. Because ultimately, what really anchors a token is not that. It really comes down to, and it's same for Bitcoin, same for Ethereum, same for Solana, same for Hype, same for anything, right? It really is like the fundamental optimism about a token, right? So I feel like that's actually one thing to do right now. We need to we're actually rethink our entire, and that's what we're doing, by the way. We have to like by the time this podcast airs and stuff, I think we will have done. Ideally, we already have started, a number of initiatives to like have a big fresh start to the to completely rethink our community dynamics, to fix a lot of our communication gaps that I think result in this problem. And also, I think I'll be clear. Remember how I think a lot of, ironically, right, a lot of the things that are problems. I think I was always overreacting to what people wanted. Versus thinking hard about, cool, right? How do I really let people understand the role Jupe has? I'm saying, in the future of Jupiter, right? In the future of JupeNet, saying everything. I'm saying, I feel like I really need to do a much better job of communicating, like where we are bringing Jupiter and where we are bringing JupeNet, I'm saying, and how the Jupe community is a big part of that. So I think that's the thing I'll do. Yeah. And lastly, I think just reading my entire worldview of governance and everything. I still think, I remember, we built the largest and most vibrant DAO, right, in crypto, right? We did that, right? And we still have it. Now I need to make it effective and bullish. So that's the thing that I must do. Yeah. So that's so essentially summarizing. Sorry for the long answer, but you asked. But then but that's why some three things, right? Number one, I think we need to completely uproot how we tell the Jupiter story, including Jupe. Secondly, to rethink how we communicate about the token, or even think about the token, right? And thirdly, I forgot that one, but yeah, basically to really reflect and just understand that this game, the token game, is different from the product game, right? That's actually one really, really big thing for us. Yeah.
How do you think or integrate the evangelist community and the users community into this kind of bigger picture?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I think another thing that I started really having a much better like realization of, right, is that previously, right? Previously, I think my concept of community was kind of naive. I was like, okay, this community, bang, like token holders, back token holders, people in there, people doing stuff in the DAO, users, blah blah. They're all like one community. Right? And I was like, now I'm like, holy shit, it's actually very different, right? Actually very different, right? And then and so what I think is that like, and what I experienced the whole of last year, right, is how different they can be. Holy shit, it's insane. So I think that I'll be honest with you, I need to be brave. I need to be brave. I need to do a number of things that like because like I need to just like realize that there's no like I can't make everyone happy. I'm saying, right? But instead, understand very clearly, okay, I have the users, right? I have the people who are evangelizing, or doing stuff for Jupiter. I'm saying, right? Like leading different initiatives in Jupiter, the community, right? And also like the token holders, right? So we need to understand, I need to kind of create an extremely synergistic, mental model between all three. But it starts from really understanding that they have different mental models and different objectives, different desires. I'm saying, yeah. So I think my failure to do that well in the first year, I think is one of the root issues with the token. Yeah. So I think so in summarizing the three, right? Number one, so in summarizing the three big issues, right? And by the way, sorry if I'm just like going through this thing because I'm actually thinking on the fly, I'm saying on things. I've been reflecting a lot, but this podcast is where I'm like forced to like articulate it in a somewhat comprehensible way, right? So firstly, it's like much better understanding, much better communication about what Jupiter is, right? Moving forward. The second thing is like rethinking and communicating the role of Jupe, right? And again, it's not just enough to do it, right? We did the 50% thing, right? But if you don't follow that up with a very, very clear and constant communication and assurance, people don't see that. And doesn't matter. Anybody's worse by the way, right? And thirdly, just realizing that you can't make unhappy, but also realizing that you do actually have distinct community members who are very different in the setup, and then creating a synergistic loop between them. So my failure to do these three things well, to tell a long story to Jupiter, to really think about what makes a token bullish and confident. And thirdly around like how I didn't really understand the three key community groups, right? I think that's the root of those three things are the root of I think Jupiter's problems. Yeah.
And you have plans for that?
Of course, always. I mean that's why I took. That's why. I mean that's why I took a forced sabbatical, right, of 2 months from socials. To really to think through everything. Yeah, I think I have good plans for that. Yeah. And this podcast is how it started, Seriously, it is. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Meow, for doing this. Thank you for doing the insanely hard work that you put in every day and every night to make this whole space more accessible, more usable for everyone.
Yeah. I think that I think it's fun. I think that I'm also I'm also insanely grateful, man. I'm so grateful. I mean, despite everything, I'm so grateful. You got no idea, man. I actually do wake up every day going like, wow, holy shit, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky, man. I'm so lucky. Like people who are in this space, I think they often focus on like why things are difficult, right? Like the pressure, the dynamics, the competition, everything stuff. But I don't know, I feel like I'm telling you, bro, like we are so lucky, man. I spent a long time in the valley. I spent a long time in the valley. I spent a long time in like before just figuring this out. And crypto is really like the industry, right? That really opens doors, globally. Like I mean, I just end up by saying something, right? Is that in tech you have to go to Silicon Valley. That's the only if you have to be Silicon Valley, right? Because like that's actually where or somewhat hubs, because like that's where you access capital and talent and everything, right? But then I think but crypto opens it up, like with crypto, it's like I think crypto opens it up. Like it's like you can get like really talent and capital and energy. It's just so much more global, So I fucking love that. I think that's actually a really good summary of why I'm so motivated, to make the Web4 world accessible by anyone, right? Because I really think that the world is so much better, right? It's like if anyone, anywhere, right, can the same opportunities to access, to create and exchange, it was so amazing. And that's what we're about, and that's what Jupiter's about. That's what JupeNet is about, and that's what the Jupe token will be about. Yeah.
You said you're grateful. I'm also very grateful from me and from the When Shift Happens team to you and to Jupiter for supporting us in our mission to make this space more credible.
Awesome. You guys doing a great job. Let's go.
Let's go. Thank you.
Thank you.
As you probably know by now, I host some of the biggest names in Bitcoin and crypto on my podcast. But a lot of the best stuff never makes it on air. The Shift newsletter is where I share that raw behind-the-scene alpha, the insights, stories, and lessons straight from my guests that you won't hear anywhere else. If you want the real inside take on Bitcoin and crypto, join my newsletter, The Shift, in the description down below.